Welcome to Sister Land Investors, where we dive into the world of real estate, mindset, and personal development, sharing stories, tips, and strategies to help you succeed in your own land investment journey.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, we're here to help inspire and guide you on your journey to success in land investing.
Let's cultivate growth and build wealth together. Hi, ladies. Welcome back to Sister Land Investors. We're super excited because today we have a special guest.
Super special guest. We are super excited to introduce you to Michelle Bisson.
Hi, Michelle. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing so good. We're so excited to have you on. Now, we like our guests to introduce themselves and tell our audience a little bit more about what they do. Do you want to share that with our audience?
Yeah. So my name is Michelle Bisson, and what I do is I actually buy, reposition, and rebrand RV parks, and I teach other people how to do the same.
Awesome. Just simple and to the point.
Yes. Very simple to the point. We like
and
to
my
do
apologies for mispronouncing your last name. I am so sorry.
Oh, everybody does it. It's totally fine. Actually, our fund is called Bisson Peak Ventures, so sometimes I think people get a little confused with the two.
Yeah, I like how y'all paired it up. That's awesome. So let us know, how did you get started in RV? When and how did you get started?
Crazy enough, my real estate journey actually started in single family homes. So I started investing in single family homes in 2020 and built up a long-term rental portfolio, and then moved into short-term rentals and actually built my first resort in Scottsdale. And so from there, my husband and I really started looking at different industries and different asset classes. And he wanted to leave his W-2. So he left his W-2 and we actually pivoted into RV parks almost immediately after that, because what we realized was the cash flow was greater. The expenses on them were a lot lower, and we thought they would be easier to run. They are not easier to run, but they're a lot more fun.
Awesome. So do you buy like existing RV parks, or are you buying vacant land and adding the RVs too? Like, can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, no, we actually like to go into existing RV parks. And so what we do is we find, right now there are about 10,000 baby boomers that are retiring every single day. And 90% of most mom and pop campgrounds are run by baby boomers. And so we're kind of going in and finding out what their pain points are and trying to help them retire so that they can go on and move into their retirement life comfortably. And then we take over their park and reposition it, rebrand it. We don't always rebrand it by changing the name, but we do upgrade amenities, upgrade the facility, and kind of keep it going into the next decade. So we really like to say that it's the same campfire, new bathrooms.
That's awesome.
I love that.
I do. So how do you, like, when you're saying pain points, it's obviously they're getting close to retirement, right? So I can see that being one. But are you looking for, like, maybe there's a lot of expenses for updates to get more money coming? Like, how do you
What are the pain points?
What are the pain points you were referring to?
Some of the major pain points is, one, they've built these campgrounds and they're supposed to be legacy projects. And so they build them thinking that their kids will grow up and want to take them over. But what happens is they've become full-time jobs, and they've seen mom and dad actually run these things forever and never go on vacation, always stressed out, not knowing exactly how to cash flow and update systems. And so it's something the children don't want to take over themselves. So now their parents have never really figured out what their retirement plan was going to be and how they were going to get out of this. And so what happens is as they're moving forward, expenses get more higher, more competition comes in, corporates come in and either buy out the ones around you and update everything, and you just can't really keep up. And so we found a way to help them retire, get a monthly payment through creative financing. And then what we do is we come in, we inject capital, we upgrade everything and get them to go where they need to be, and then get them going into the next century. And so it really helps to have some new fresh blood in there, we get them on online. We get them with easy booking systems. We bring in good management that keeps that mom and pop feel, but they can run a little more systematically since we have a whole system behind them. We start doing marketing and advertising, which they usually don't do because they've done everything through word of mouth. And that way we can get them kind of up to speed with, like, the KOA across the street.
That's amazing that you go and help these mom and pops.
You're helping them. You're solving their problem. I love that. That's key. Is what I'm listening to, and that's awesome. You're solving their problem and helping them retire, which is what we all look forward to.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, in what areas do you have your RV parks? Like in the US, what areas do you focus?
We actually do them all over the US. We have parks that are in Missouri, Virginia. We're getting ready to close the largest park in Alaska. And then we have currently two behind them in Tennessee and Florida. And so we're kind of all over the place. We try to stay away from places that have more tenant-friendly laws. So we like to focus more in the Midwest, more of the southern states, places that are a little more landlord friendly, just so that we don't end up in areas that will cause an issue later.
That's good to know. So, we do land investing. So I guess my question to you, how many acres of land do you need to have an RV park? Like if our ladies or our investors want to help someone like you build RV parks, what areas and how large does it have to be to have one?
A successful one that would bring in revenue.
It really depends on where you're at. I mean, I have a park right now in Branson, Missouri that currently it is 10 acres, but it's only built on 4.5.
Wow.
And so it's got about 80 pads on that 4.5 acres, and it does really well because it's right next to a tourist area. So my amenities need to be nice, but they don't need to be overabundant. Like I don't have to have crazy things on it. Because everybody's going to Branson to see Branson, not to necessarily hang out in my park. Then we have a park that is 94 acres, which we're currently expanding into glamping and everything on. And so that one's a full destination resort. And so that one has like water slides, a movie area, community center, arcade, a lake that you can fish out of. Like it's a full destination. So it really depends on where your park is and exactly what you want to do with it.
That is awesome.
I love that. We need to come and visit.
It sounds like somewhere I'd want to go. Like I want to come visit for sure. How do you qualify? Like if you're saying you're buying from people like the baby boomers, how do you qualify a good RV park? Like what are the check marks that you want to check off to say, okay, this is a good one that I want to make an offer to?
So it really depends on what your end game is. So whenever you go into a park, you really kind of have to figure out what you personally want to do with it. If you want to run it yourself, you could probably go with a smaller park that's easier to manage just for you. Or if you wanted to do what we do and expand, then you kind of have to have a different game plan in place. So one of the things that we do when we go in is we want it to be over 50 pads because we want to be able to use all of those pads to use cash flow. So what we try to do is we kind of do a hybrid version where we take a percentage of the park and we actually make it a long-term park and make sure all the bills are paid year round. Then we take the rest of that park and we make it a transient park where everybody is coming in and out weekly or nightly. And that way that's cash flowing all the time and it's just bringing in more revenue. So then we will systemize it, put it online, put in a booking system, and then place management. And so we like to start with a starting NOI, net operating income, of about $200,000 to $250,000 so that we can place management, do upgrades, make sure that we can pay for everybody who's working on the park, do any general maintenance, and have a war chest in hand. And that ensures that we've got enough money to play with in the park so that the park pays for itself and we're not doing anything out of pocket.
This is so, I'm just amazed because did I hear you correctly when you said you started in 2020?
So I started in single family
with RV parks.
In RV parks, I bought my first park in December of 23.
my God. So how,
How
like,
did
you're just so, it's a wealth of information coming from you. How, who is there, like, who did you learn from? Because it just seems like a lot, and it seems like you have it down and y'all mastered the way y'all do it. How, congratulations, first of all, like, that's
yeah,
amazing. I love
congrats.
that for you. But how did you get on the, because it's been quickly.
It really was really fast, but we learned a lot in our real estating journey from single family homes and being able to build our resort from the ground up. Like, we just learned a lot of information in that 3.5 years that we were doing all of that. When we pivoted into RV parks, we knew that we were going into a class that we didn't necessarily know very well. So we actually uprooted and moved into our first park for a few months.
Oh, that's
That's the
awesome.
best
What's the
teacher.
best way to learn? Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
no,
Good
it
for
was
you.
trial by
Congratulations
fire.
again. Good.
So what are the hurdles? Like what are some of the hurdles that you run
The biggest
into?
headaches you would say you face.
Um, it's probably, well, one, management is a big one. Hiring the right people. You're in an area, an asset class where everybody has a bunch of wanderlust. Like, your people are usually work campers. They like to travel. They like to change scenery every year. And so losing your people is probably a big one, which we like to, we benefit from the fact that we own multiple parks, because then when things happen, we can just say, okay, well, why don't we just move you to a different park? And so that kind of helps that a little bit. Um, Upgrading systems is another one. Moving mom and pop, like, especially if you have management that's staying on. We've been lucky enough to have great management in some parks that want to stay on, but moving them into new systems is really hard, and they don't necessarily want to learn something new because they've done it so long, such a different way, and that they kind of like the way they do it. So teaching new systems can be a big one. And then definitely the upgrading of the park. There's a lot of things that when we go into a park, um, water systems, sewer systems. Some of our parks are built in like 72. That's a
Mm.
long time ago. And they
Yeah.
haven't really upgraded their systems in that amount of time. And so going in and rebuilding out sewer systems and putting in new water lines is a lot. So we have a park that we actually just did all of that for. Or, just general maintenance. Like, we have a park that's really large. It's got lots of trees, making sure that, that we're keeping up on all of that from the previous owner who didn't.
That's awesome. I'm
Mm.
thinking on from a safety standpoint, and this really has nothing to do with the big picture of things, but I'm just curious. How is the safety? Like, do you have to have like any kind of like police or security guards on site for these RV parks, or that's not a thing?
No, it is a thing. So it really just depends on what's going on. So we have cameras in all of our parks, and most of the common areas are problem areas that we could have. Like, we'll have them outside of bathroom doors, never inside, but on the outside, that so that we can see what's going on and who's coming and going. Usually around the community centers, any open pathways that we have, lots of lighting for nighttime to be sure that everybody stays safe. A lot of the time, we will have a security that kind of drives throughout our parks at random times to kind of make sure things are good. We have very strict rules and policies in place that everybody signs when they come in. But the great thing about most of our parks is that they're usually pretty family oriented. So a lot of families visit us, and families look out for families.
Yes.
And
Exactly. I
so if
like
there's a
that.
Absolutely.
problem, they usually kind of are like, hey, like, let's make sure that this is taken care of. And the great thing about parks is you can ask somebody to leave for breaking the rules without having a problem. You can have them
Oh,
towed
good.
out or
Yeah.
taken out by a police officer.
Oh,
That's
that's
awesome.
good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But you probably don't usually have that going on. Very rare.
It I I think there's only been one instance where I can think of somebody being asked to leave. And that was because they had drank too much and then, made a problem for the manager, not necessarily anybody else. They started calling the manager at like 1 a.m. But that was the
Mhm.
only time we've ever had that ever happen, and all the time in all the parks that we've had. So,
That is so awesome. I love this
So
concept.
I have a question. I wanted to ask you, like, for us land investors, we are always looking to where we park our money. Do you look out for other investors to help you out with new? What is it that you need? How can we help
Help
you.
support you or our
Yeah.
listeners. Yeah.
If we want to dip our little toes in your niche.
Well, so one of the things that we also have is we have a fund where we let investors, accredited investors, it's a 506c. And so what it is we allow accredited investors to invest in our fund where they actually get to benefit from all of our parks. And so it is, you get solid returns. One of the best things about park investing is that we have some of the best tax depreciation write-offs that you can have in almost any asset class. You take advantage of them in the first year that you invest. They have some of the highest returns in any asset class that you can find. Minimum management, minimum expenses, and so it is probably one of the highest returns, and actually is becoming pretty popular now that people are starting to realize what they do. So with your return on investment and your cash on cash, then your 5-year plan. Most RV parks will double in value in about 3 to 5 years.
Mm.
In how long?
3 to 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, because that was my next question. The investing, the cash flow and long-term wealth building, how does that look in the RV park industry?
So it is actually one of the highest classes that you can invest in that will give you one of the highest returns. And I'm talking out of multifamilies, out of single families, like out of any other real estate asset. It is one of the highest ones if you do your research on it. And so parks tend to double in value about every 3 to 5 years, which means like our fund is a 5-year hold, which means that you should expect a pretty healthy return after the end of 5 years. And what we like to do in our fund is that if a park is doing really, really well and we think that we could potentially increase it by more, what we do is we'll roll it into our second fund and give you the option to invest in the second fund so that you can keep going with it. But one of the great other parts about RV parks is that you can actually increase the cash flow by adding multiple businesses. And so with our parks, we can add laundromats, water machines, propane tanks. One of our parks with the water slides, we do $250,000 in sales in day passes where people come from the community and actually purchase a $15 ticket to use our water slides for the day. That does about $240,000 worth of annual revenue every year. We do about $100,000 on that park on golf cart rentals. Our arcade does a really healthy return. So one of our parks has a restaurant on it that does about $3 million gross every year. So it really just, we've got a full marina on that park. We're adding more cabins. We're expanding it by about 200 pads, which will actually increase the revenues on that park at least by double. So it really is like one of the best asset classes because of the fact that there's multiple streams of income, lots of different ways to influx cash flow into it and create more businesses out of it. We're actually increasing that one by adding a liquor and convenience store to it.
Ooh, that's
Wow,
always a great one.
You're getting very creative on what to add,
I
and
love it.
you're building your own community there.
I said that one is actually a really great park because it's on the Lake of the Ozarks and it's got a full marina. And so with the restaurant, all of the room to expand, the cabins, they do a full like Sturgis biker rally event during the summer where we bring in live music. There's live music every weekend at the bar and grill. We're adding a pool with a pool bar, the liquor store and convenience store. So that one's actually going to be an amazing park when we're done with it. We're taking out the boat slots that we rent and we're changing those into restaurant slots where you can come in off the lake, park your boat, get off, go order from the restaurant or buy something from the convenience and liquor store, get back on your boat and go back to the lake.
Sounds fun.
It does. I really need to go. I really need to come visit.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
a great one.
If someone was listening right now and they wanted to learn more about potentially partnering up and investing, where would they go? Could you share that way? And we'll share it all on the podcast as well, but where would they go?
Yeah, you can actually find me on Instagram at michellebisson.com. It's MyChelebisson. I always answer my own DMs. And then I also have a webpage, michellebisson.com, where you can find out how to invest with me, what parks we're working on next, and kind of what we do. I also do workshops periodically. And so on there, you'll find out when my next workshops are, what the workshops are about, and different webinars that we do.
Awesome. Thank you.
I love that.
Yes.
Okay, Michelle, my main question is how do you balance all this being a mom,
A
being
wife?
a wife, and the business? Give us some tips.
That is definitely one of the biggest questions. I was just talking about this with somebody that, like, as women, we hold so many hats all the same time, and we're almost expected to be perfect at all of them all the time. And so it's like, you're the wife, you're the mom, you're the business builder, you're the capital raiser, you keep your home, you do all these things, and I do everything myself. So,
Wow.
I one of the biggest things that I did is I brought my family into the business with us. And so my oldest daughter works with us. My husband works as my operations manager. Like, we do things together, and that really helps because when we go on a trip to go look at a park, we're going together. And so at the end of the day, we'll go to dinner together, and it's like date night in a new town. And so, or we get to explore a new area together, and that really helps in that aspect. But we also make it a really big priority to make sure that our calendars are always streamlined and that we're always connected in some way. So I have 2 nights a week where it is I'm making dinner and I'm spending time with my kids. My youngest is 17, so she's on her way out, and I want to make sure that we can, spend all the time we can together before she, decides to go off to college or wherever she decides that her life's going to take her. Um, my oldest recently moved back to Colorado. She had been a professional dancer in California for the last 7 years, and she's just moved back to Colorado. So she comes over for dinner 1 night a week too, and so we all get together as a family. She
Nice.
works with me, so I talk to her on a daily basis, and then my husband and I have a date night every night, once a week, and so like tonight is actually date night. So at about
Oh,
4:30, we wrap
fun.
everything up and we go out and have dinner together and just have a date night where we don't really talk about business and we just kind of hang out. Um, and then on top of that, at the end of every year, we always take 1 week where we sit down and we kind of make out our goals for the year on business, family, our relationship, and what we want our lives to look like over the next year. And we really sit down and plan that out. And then we stay true to that as much as we possibly can. Open communication is always a big one. So, like, I end certain days, like, I take certain days off a week, and those are the days that I hang out and do housework. I like to clean my house. So, those are the days that I focus on those things. Those are the days that I read and hang out and do my own thing and do my own self care. And then, every night at about 5:30, I stop everything and I don't answer phone calls. I don't do any of that. So,
So you're good at turning it off. I cannot turn it off.
It's hard for me to turn off
In
too.
my date nights with my husband, I need therapy. That's all we talk about, business, business, business. So that's good for you. I need to learn from you. That's huge
it,
that you
it
schedule
really is.
everything out.
It is a big deal because, like, I just know that, like, when we get so wrapped up in business, it's so hard to turn it off, and we have to actively say we're not going to talk about this anymore. And, like, or if we do have something we have to talk about, like, we're going to take 5 minutes to talk about this specific thing, and then we turn it off.
Right. So what are your goals for the next 5 years? Where do you see yourselves? Do you see yourself holding on to these properties and camps, or do you see moving, investing in other areas? Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
So right now, the RV park industry is having a really big boom, and investors are really starting to notice what it can do. And so I'm kind of thankful that we were ahead of the curve and we started before everybody else started getting in. We're going to continue on this path and ride the wave for as long as we can. We have a 5-year fund right now that we're building out, called Bison Peak Ventures Fund. And with that, we're actually capital raising. And so we are going to get as many investors involved as we possibly can and hopefully give everybody the opportunity to catch the wave with us. And so then at the end of 5 years, we're going to actually reevaluate all of our parks, decide which ones we want to keep and roll over into a new fund and allow people to move over with that if they would like to. And then from there, we'll decide where we're going to be. But for right now, the focus over the next 5 years is to buy multiple parks. This year we've got 5 on deck that we want to purchase. So
Awesome.
That's great. Congratulations. Do you ever deal with developers that are looking to develop RV parks? I know after 2020, that became a huge thing with us land investors. People would ask us for bigger lots because they wanted to,
Make them RV parks. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that is actually becoming a really big thing. I believe I just read an article, and I want to say that it said that there were like 39 new parks that were coming online in the next 6 months. And so it is really a big thing. I think it is a great thing for people to do new things. I think that buying land and building on them is a very huge, audacious goal to do. It's amazing. For us personally, we've not ventured into it just yet because we built an RV, or not an RV, but we built a brick and mortar resort in Scottsdale, and that was a lot of work. And
Right.
knowing what we know about the RV industry, we really kind of want to walk into an RV park that's cash flowing already and just increase the cash flow. And so it may be something that we do in the future. I would love to venture into that later once I've seen multiple parks and kind of figured out exactly how I would want my luxury park to be. Um, but right now, we really are just looking at how can we help these baby boomers get out of something that they're ready to move on from? How can we save their park from going under or going to a corporate structure? And how can we really help as many people as we can along the way?
I
Yeah,
love that.
sure.
So let's start. Let me segue back to the blank canvas. If you could have the perfect RV park, what would you be looking for? Acreage, water, sewer? Like, tell
Oh,
us
How
what
many
would be
spots?
ideal
Yeah.
for you.
oh my gosh, the perfect RV park for me would be a place that was flat enough that everybody could be leveled, that had beautiful trees and forestry. I would love a beautiful lake or a pond on it that I could stock with fish. A great rec area that's kind of off to itself where we could hold festivals on top of having the community center, a movie center, much like my Virginia park. I really love my Virginia park on the 94 acres. We're expanding it into glamping, but to have a park that has the forestry plus the open area, like we've got two different places. We've got a lake that we fully stock. We've got a community center where we hold like pickleball tournaments, an arcade, full laundry room. We've got an area where people are separated where they can have their RVs full time with a full HOA, plus they've got their own community center on it, which is amazing. Then we've got all the transients who come in and spend, anywhere from a night to a month with us during the season. We've got open areas where we can throw festivals. We do our own fireworks, and now we're expanding it into glamping. So that is probably my perfect park.
It
I love
sounds
it.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
it does
know
sound
it
amazing.
does.
We're gonna have to go visit. And you
Yeah,
said it's in Virginia?
it is. It's in the middle of nowhere, Virginia, but it is such a destination park and it's such a family focused place that I really love to watch these families come in. Their kids aren't on screens. They're out riding bikes. They're making new friends. They're fishing in the pond. They're, whaling down the water slides. They're having fun in the arcades. They're hanging out with grandma and grandpa. Like it is probably one of the best atmospheres that you can have. And being a mom with kids that are like on their way out, like those are the things that I cherish the most, are those moments where you can like see families really disconnecting from all of the day-to-day stuff and really just having a good time and roasting marshmallows together and getting to know other families who want to do the same. Like it reminds me so much of my childhood when we would go spend time on my grandparents' ranch and like the whole family would come together and me and my cousins would like hang out around the bonfire. We would like tell stories and just have a good time. Like that is what it's all about, and I love seeing that.
Oh,
That's
that's
awesome.
beautiful. This is
Yeah,
a great way to kind of end this, just having that imaginary ideal place to go camping. And I like that you're doing the glamping. That you said
Yes.
you're adding that too.
Yeah, I think we're gonna add in some glamping spots, do in some like tree fort tents and stuff like that. Like I think that would just be fun, and it's a fun experience. I mean, everybody wants to have a fun experience. That park in particular has cabins now, but I think it would be fun to move it into like yurt style, like giant tents, that are all set up and decked out and ready to go. So, who
for
doesn't want to do
sure. Yeah.
that?
I would. I'll sign up
We
first.
did that. We did that in, is it Zion, the national park,
Oh
Zion,
yeah,
the
Zion's beautiful.
under canvas. It was beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. So when yours is set and ready, let us know.
We'll
We
come
might,
visit for sure.
we'll go stay a weekend there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have
We should-
those set up. We do those in Alaska at our Alaska park, so you can always come up there.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, nice.
Perfect. No, we so appreciate your
Thank you,
time. Thank you,
Michelle.
Michelle. We're going to put links to all your information on the podcast, but more than anything, we do appreciate your time answering all our questions.
Absolutely. Well, good luck on the land investing. And if you guys come across a park for
Thank
sale,
you.
let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
That definitely we'll keep you updated.
Thank you
Perfect.
again for your time.
Yeah, thank you everyone
Thank
for
you so
watching. Y'all have a
much.
blessed day.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks. See you, ladies. Take